good. I apologize for the hat.
Hey, you know, it's Saturday. It can be a hat day.
Wow, look at even.
I'm really glad to see all y'all's faces. I usually am texting you guys, so now I'm like, okay, who are these people that I send messages to on the weekly?
So how many of you are planning to be on a trip this summer?
If you were going to be on a trip.
Yeah, who all, okay, so who all, okay, everybody here I think was planning to be on a trip at some point, but who all was going to Kenya specifically? Yeah. And then a few of you were Uganda, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some were Uganda.
Is this the first meeting with, or have you done several of these already?
Say what, Rick?
Are we the first meeting that you're meeting with, or have you done several of these Zoom meetings already?
No, you guys are our first one. So we'll do several more in the coming month, but yeah, you guys are our first one.
How many of you are students still in school? How much does this feel like a class? Yeah, a couple of you. Our daughters are home and they're in college, so they've had several Zoom classes. I've seen this on their screens before.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we don't have to have it again this fall. So hopefully we'll get to be back in the classroom, or for those of us that are teachers, get to be back with the kids.
Right.
That's fun.
Yep. All right,
you guys get set up for your dance.
Yeah, if you guys want to get set up, and then yeah, I'll go ahead and you guys.
Okay. They'll still be able to see you. We'll get you guys.
Okay, for all of those except Ann and Rick, do you mind muting your mics until like after they get done talking? Then we'll have like a Q&A, and you guys are totally welcome to unmute your mics, and like as they're just telling us about Oasis and stuff, then y'all think of questions or anything if you want to ask them, because that's going to be totally open at the end as well. So yeah, Ann and Rick Smith are our ministry partners in Kenya, or one of them. And they have Oasis for Orphans. And yeah, they're going to show us around and tell us a little bit about what they do. I mean, I know many of us would much rather be there in person, but I guess this is the next best thing, is just getting to see them. So thank you guys for jumping on here and joining us this morning. And I'm going to turn it over to the Smiths and let them kind of introduce themselves, and then we get to see the kids dance and a lot of other fun things.
Okay. I know it's morning there, but the kids thought that it would be fun. One of the things we love to do in Kenya is dance. So if you want to get up and dance with us, go right ahead. We have a dance team is going to do a dance for you, and then everybody will dance. And then we'll let the kids go play outside and we'll chat a little bit. So here we go. Here's the Oasis, the Wild Dance Kid. Sorry, you're trying to find the right song. All right, we're gonna switch seats really quick here.
Okay.
So that we can, the kids went outside so we can, they're gonna play soccer for a little bit while we.
Also, I like the t-shirts.
Thanks. You can get one of these cool t-shirts yourself.
How do you do that?
I think that Trevin will help you guys get these cool t-shirts. Stay
Yeah.
resilient. We say Oasis 5K. But first, before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to our kids that are here this summer. Hey guys. Hey.
Hello.
This is Rachel. Say hi.
Hey. Going into my senior year at Liberty University. And then I'm doing elementary education. So yeah, it's been super fun.
So she was hoping to meet all of you guys and hang out with you this summer.
I know, we're super bummed you guys can't be here.
Yeah, we are too.
Hey, my name is Julia, and I am going into my sophomore year at Liberty University also, and I am majoring in nursing. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
And I'm Caleb, and I'm going into my junior year of high school. Yeah.
That's awesome. And are you, Caleb, are you at Rift Valley? Is that where you are?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, that's awesome. Which Rift Valley, for those of you that may not know, that's the school there in Kajabi. So yeah, so fun.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, well, it's good to be with y'all. Thanks for giving us some time this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time out of your Saturday to do this for us.
Yeah, of course. I thought I'd start just by giving you a little bit of the story of Oasis. And, then, so Ian and I will bounce back and forth and we'll just tell you about our ministry for the next, 15 or so minutes. And then I'll open it up for any questions you guys might have. Sound good?
That's awesome.
All right. So we started, really the ministry started when a guy who traveled quite a bit to Tanzania was walking down a street, and it was a pretty needy area of the country. And there was just a little girl, 4 or 5-year-old girl, who just took a look at him. And most of the little girls that looked at him, because he's a tall white guy, and they would run away. But this little girl, man, just looked at him, and something shifted and ran up into his arms, and he picked her up and just held her. And his heart just, longed for to help other people. And so a couple months later, he went on a trip to Kenya with a couple of other folks, and they met a pastor who was working in the Kibera slums. And this guy told him that, we need to do things out in the villages where people live, because they come to the slums thinking that there will be hope, but they often find the ills of the city. And so he took him out to his homeland. And really the ministry was born as, this pastor introduced them to some of the other kids that were really in need. About 2 years later, there was some money that was given from a church, and a building was built. And all of a sudden this ministry grew from, 10 families or 10 kids to like 60 kids. And we began a sponsorship program. And then a couple years after that, Ann and I really felt led to come to Kenya with our entire family. And really just in a pretty miraculous way, we went in 9 months from not even considering it to all of a sudden we're on a plane moving, transitioning completely to Kenya, and started to, have some eyes on the ministry. And really over the last 10 years that we have been here, we've seen this grow from a ministry of 60 kids to a ministry of over 350 kids that are, in either being cared for at a care center. We have 3 different care centers around Southwest Kenya. That's really the area that we've targeted in Kenya. And so we want to make a difference, in this part of the country. And then we're also reaching out into communities through a Guardian program that I'll tell you a little bit more about. But one of the themes that kind of is seen throughout our story is this idea of belonging. And what has most moved us is when you see a kid come out of a really difficult situation and then find a place of belonging in a home, and where they find a family and brothers and sisters. And there's I can't even call him a boy anymore. He's a man named Edward, who was one of the first kids in our program, and he's now finishing his university education. But he was just reminding me of his story a short time ago. And when his mom and dad died, he had 2 sisters. Everybody was separated into different homes. And he just said there was nobody who would take care of him. Nobody had their eye on him until Oasis came, and we found his sisters first, and they told us about their brother who was living in a faraway place. And he came into our home, and his life just radically changed as he had access to education and good food and brothers and sisters. And really, it was this idea of belonging that he found that changed his life. And that's what we're all about. That's what we're trying to do for many kids as we can find.
Yeah. What makes Oasis a little bit unique is that we have a holistic development program that started really when we came to Kenya 10 years ago, and we met this boy that Rick was talking about, Edward, and his sisters, and we started getting to know kids and taking care of them. We realized quickly that it's not enough just to provide physical care for kids. It's not enough to put a roof over their head and take care of their medical needs and make sure they're getting a good diet. Those things are really important, but there's a much bigger piece that needs to be addressed. So we started a holistic development program. Physical care is one of the tenets of our holistic development plan. But then we also provide spiritual development for kids. We have social and emotional care, and then educational care. So I'm just going to talk about those briefly. Physical care is obvious, so I'm not going to go back to that. But when we talk about spiritual care, Jesus is at the center of everything we do. We don't believe that kids can ever get better and really heal until they find Jesus, and he becomes an important part of their life. So that is the central piece that everything else spreads out from. We also then take care of educational needs. So we are bound by law to follow the Kenyan syllabus, and the syllabus itself is actually great, but the resources that are available in Kenya to teach kids are pretty lacking. So we spend a lot of time working to bolster the education system. We've added a reading program for the kids, so everybody reads every day. If you're a teacher out there, you'll know what the Daily 5 is. We do the Daily 5 here, so the kids are benefiting from that. And then we also have a memory period where they're memorizing certain facts. We've added to their math curriculum. And then because the kids that come into our program are typically 2 to 3 years behind in school, we have them learn English right away because they do all their testing in English. So we focus on just helping to push them ahead as quickly as we can. And we spend a lot of time tutoring individual kids with individual needs. So when you get here, you can help us with those things. And then the last piece is the social and emotional development. We kind of keep those together. But just in the last 3 years, we've really started to address the trauma issues of the kids that we've been taking care of. We were asking ourselves the question, why are some kids still not doing well, even though we're giving them everything that they possibly need? And we realized that one of the keys was addressing some of the trauma history and some of the past things that had happened to them. So we all went out and got ourselves trained as trauma competent caregivers, and then we work really hard to train every staff member that comes into our sites in trauma competent caregiving. Every kid is in group therapy, where we learn how to treat each other and act appropriately in really fun ways. And then we also have every child involved in individual counseling. And we have seen that over the last 2 years really make a big difference, just in behavior, in attitude, in the way that kids view themselves. And then even it translates into their ability to learn, because their brain is so wrapped up in worrying about what's going on inside of them, they're able to stop and think and learn again. So that's our holistic development program. And then one of the cool things that OASIS also does is that we actually track it. We created a database where we keep track of every child's development in each of those different areas. If you know the CSI index, that's the way that the rest of the world measures success or failure for some of those. So we use that so that we can compare our data with the rest of the world. And then we've added our own components to it as well. So we're keeping tabs on how every kid is doing, so nobody falls through the cracks.
One of the other things we're doing to make sure nobody falls through the cracks is this idea of family. And, you know, we are historically here of a children's home. You think of these things where kids are just, you know, you try to rescue as
Is somebody not unmuted?
There we go.
Somebody was unmuted. Sorry, maybe start over.
Tried to push through there.
Sorry.
I was just saying that, you know, it's as we get to know these kids at a deeper level, we really wanted to provide as much of a family for them as we can. And you can never, you know, reproduce it perfectly, but we have tried our very best to make it, you know, less and less institutional. So at our home, there was one of our sites is in Magori, Kenya, as we call it, the shelter. And as we developed that site, we built 6 different individual homes, which cost a little bit more that we had to spend, but it provides a much better level of care where you have a mama and 12 kids all living in the same house together, and they can really act like a family. So that idea of trying to provide family care is a real core value of Oasis. And the other thing that we've started to develop as we've wanted to care for more and more kids, but we also value the families that they come from. And often, mom and dad may have passed away, but aunts and uncles or grandparents, they pick up these kids and they really love them. And we don't want to take a child out of a family unit like that. And yet those children need care. There's often a lot of neglect that's happening because those families aren't able to care for them. So we've created a guardian care program where we are able to help those kids with their educational needs. As we develop schools, we're able to bring them into our schools and then and get to know those families and help them be better parents to their own children and to the kids that they're taking care of. So those 2 programs have really helped us grow without just growing our care centers, which is a really costly way of providing care for kids. It limits how much you can do as a ministry.
I'm just going to add on to that. If a child comes into the guardian care program, we provide full nutrition for them. So they come in early before school, they get breakfast, then we have porridge, and then they have lunch. They also get counseling. They also participate in group therapy. And then at the end of the day, they go home and they can have dinner with their family, with their grandma and grandpa or their aunties and uncles. But we've given them everything that they need to survive, so that way it relieves the burden for grandma and grandpa. And then also monthly, all of the guardians that's kids come in, who the kids come in each day, the guardians get together and we meet for Bible study, and we do a training once a month for those families as well. So we're trying to grow families in the community as well.
Tell them a little bit of what we're doing for the families
so
here.
this is a really weird time in the world, which is why I'm looking at you guys through a screen and you're not here sitting next to me playing with kids. But one of the things that we decided to do here at the Well during the coronavirus, and we're actually doing this at our other 2 care centers as well, is we actually locked ourselves down about 2 months ago when coronavirus first came to Kenya. So we stockpiled about 6 months worth of food. And then we brought several of the families who were high-risk families for getting sick and possibly not making it. We have several families that we're really worried about, and we didn't want kids to have any more loss in their lives. So we brought those whole families on campus. We are busting at the seams. We have kids and families sleeping in classrooms. We've got them sleeping on floors. It's pretty crowded here, but it's been really fun. We have some really awesome staff who made the decision to not stay home, and they actually moved on campus permanently as well. So they've been here now for about 2.5 months without a break. So it's been busy and it's been fun. And then any of the families that were already in our program that decided not to move on campus, we had to lock them out, but they come to the gate every week and we provide them with food assistance. So they get some food. Most of those families have lost jobs. It's in the particular area where we live, everybody works either in the flower farms or out in the, there's some tea farms and there's some dairy farms, and everybody lost their jobs. So we have a lot of hungry people in the community. So we've been able to provide food for those people in our Guardian program. And then in addition to that, we partnered with 2 churches that are, one is just right across the street from us and the other is about 5 kilometers away. And we bring food to the church every week, and then they take care of the needy people in their church. So those are some of the unique things we're doing just during this different time in the world to keep ourselves healthy and keep the kids healthy.
So we were invited to kind of share some of our needs with you or make a specific ask of you. So one of the first thing I would say is that Love Africa is doing some great things that are going to, that we're going to be recipients of. So where I would point you first is to do what Love Africa is doing, support kind of a couple of their initiatives. They're going to talk about this 5K run. I think they've got some, we were hoping to partner with you to do several projects and those kinds of things, which there's still, conversation about helping out in those things. So that would be fantastic. But one of the, big changes that have come with this coronavirus is that, instead of being project centered and hoping to spend the summer building houses or fields or courts or whatever it might have been, we just realized that we need kind of support of our, through sponsorship. We need direct support of kids. So after you've helped Love Africa, if you still want to do a little bit more, really the biggest way that you could help Oasis is by going to our website and just sponsoring a kid. And whether you're able to take, a child directly or just make some regular donation, that is so incredibly helpful at this time. And it just allows us to be able to continue to do the things that we're doing. And really, as we've, worked directly here for the last couple of years with this same plan, we've just seen kids make giant leaps forward. And we just need to run the plan longer. And so we don't want to see that interrupted because of a financial crisis or because of, and have to start to cut things back. So really, that's one of the big ways you could help us this year until you're able to travel and put a shovel in the ground with us next year, we're hoping. So I think that's all we have for you. You guys have any questions or, do you want to lead us elsewhere?
No, I think that's great. I'm glad you mentioned the fundraising. First, thank you guys for sharing all that. It does just make me wish to be there all the more, but I'm so thankful that you guys are there and are continuing on and we get to support you all in this way. So yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned the race that's upcoming. We have a couple fundraising events that we're hoping to do to just continue to support you all and pray for you all and be there with you in spirit, even though we can't in person. So yeah, I mean, all of you that are on this call, continue to be on the lookout for that. Please sign up for the race, even if you are just going to walk it. That's okay. I mean, you can walk a 5K. You don't have to run it. But yeah, do you all have any of you all on the call have questions for the Smiths about anything, or yeah, anything come to mind while they were talking?
So I'm on the Uganda trip, and if it goes through, we'd be going from July 16th through 29th. But I can't really participate in the walk if I wanted to because it's the 25th of July, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's around then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the beauty of this race, though, Anna, is that you can do it from anywhere.
You can do it from bed if you
That's
want.
right.
okay.
Yep.
So what is the support going towards that?
It's going to cover the care of the kids every day. We have lost quite a number of sponsors who've lost their jobs, and so it's just going to go help support our food needs, feeding the people in the community, taking care of people that are living outside the community, as well as just taking care of the kids inside the community.
Okay.
We're hoping this year that the race would go towards something different, but we just need to keep the doors open.
Okay. I think that's the only question I have.
Yeah, but no, Anna, that's a great question. And for y'all, it's obviously a virtual race, so you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor and I both live in Louisville, so we'll probably have like a group of people here. But you really, like, the race day is the 25th, but you can do it, if you aren't able on the 25th, you can do it the day before.
Yeah, because my only concern would be the service there.
Yeah.
That's pretty much why I asked.
Yeah.
Because if there's another way that I can give without having to do the race, but still wanting to be participating in it in a way, is there a place I could like give?
Yes, you can just,
Just join a team.
if you join the Love Africa team, you'll see that you can just either make a donation there. You
Okay.
can also like double donate. You could do, like, there's all kinds of options there. And I think Trevin then also has a link. Like if you just want to start monthly supporting he's got a link that he's going to put up to just generate a monthly donation towards the basis.
Yeah. And I'll get you some more information, but also just be watching like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, and email.
Okay.
We're gonna be sending more information. And even after this call, like we'll send out links and stuff to Oasis and how you can support and all of that.
Thank y'all. I think that's all I had. So I'll mute myself in case someone wants to get now.
No, you're good. Does anybody else have any questions? Or thoughts, or encouragement, or anything that you want to say? It doesn't have to just be questions.
I guess I'll say that
Hey, Abby, if you hold the phone closer, maybe it's a little hard to hear what you're saying.
Oh, okay. I think it's connected to my phone.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay, I was just saying that I'm really bummed that we couldn't be there right now, and I'm so excited to be there. And I think it's awesome how God is using you guys as you're there, and I'm excited to see what He's going to do while we're there, and what He's going to do in not only our hearts but in the hearts of the kids while we help. So.
We're excited
Hope
for
it
that
happens.
too. We're looking forward to meeting you.
I mean, those trips are, yeah. I just say this to all of you, but those, the sacrifice you're making to take these trips, financially and time, and it is a great value. I know to ministries like ours, to the kids that have an opportunity to meet you and see your interests, it's just encouraging to them. But it's also will be life-changing for each of you. We never would have been here if we had not taken a once-in-a-lifetime trip, right, to see something different. And I, Abigail, I'm going to be praying for you and for the rest of you, that it does work out, that God can continue to move in your heart to come and to be able to come, because He does some great things while you're in a place that's unfamiliar. It's just He loves the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you guys were talking about child sponsorship, I just had like such a flashback moment, because that's how I originally got connected to Kenya. Is I started sponsoring a kid through Naomi's that I know you guys are really close with, the Mendanzas. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, well, why not? I'll sponsor this kid. Maybe one day I'll go and visit her. And then 6 months later I was there, and my world has never been the same since. So yeah, even just in child sponsorship, like just how the Lord works through that. And so, yeah, for those of you wanting to get involved, I don't know exactly at Oasis how you guys have it set up or how it's broken down, but yeah, it's such a sweet thing.
At Oasis, you can give any amount, even if you're in school and all you can do is $10 a month for now. That's great. Any amount. It takes for a child that lives in a care center, it takes $200 a month to take care of their full needs all the way up through university. And then for the kids that are coming in from outside who stay at home with their guardians at night, it actually costs us $50 a month for them, but you can come in at any amount and do whatever it is. Every little bit makes a big difference. We have somebody that supports kids for $5 a month because that's what they can do, and that's awesome. So.
That's awesome. Well, any other thoughts or anything before we get off.
I'm gonna say one more thing.
Yeah, go for it, Anna.
Okay, so I'm bummed because I was supposed to go for an extra week after Uganda to Kenya, so I was gonna see you guys, but I'm hoping maybe if the Lord makes a way, I can come next year to Kenya. So I'm gonna be praying about that because you guys work with the orphanage too. Yes, okay, and that's one thing I absolutely love is because even at home I've considered volunteering at orphanages just because I love children. So I'm gonna try to come next year too, just see how things go and how the Lord provides for everything. But I'm really thankful for you guys and all you've done.
Awesome.
Wayne, did I see you unmute yourself?
Hi, Rick. Well, it is a privilege and an honor to meet you guys all online. Well, I believe I heard earlier you talk about the spiritual health in the orphanage center. Can I know more about that? Like, what do you guys do specifically to the young kids with their, support their spiritual health? And do you guys do a regular worship in the orphanage? Can we know more about that?
Sure. Yes. So every morning before school, we have a big group devotion. Two of our staff members are pastors. They're actually pastors and counselors, so they do a lot of our devotional time. So they lead the morning devotions before school each morning. And then in each family home, they have devotions every evening as a family group. We actually have curriculum that they're going through so that it's like sequential and we're not missing anything as they're going along. And then every Tuesday night here at the well, we have worship night. So all the kids get out and it's pretty fun. They dance, they sing, and we spend a lot of time just praising the Lord together. We go to church. Right across the street is a church. We go to a church in the community. So we think it's really important for kids to know other families in the community and see other people going to church. So they attend Sunday school on Sunday morning over at the church, and then they go to attend the worship service together. Although right now nobody's meeting in church, so we're having our own church in-house currently. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions or anything, would someone mind to just pray for the Smiths and for Oasis and these needs that they've shared and the work that they're doing? Would somebody be willing to volunteer for that? If not, I can call on you.
I'll do it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
Dear God, we just love you and we thank you, Lord. We thank you for placing the Smiths there, God, to do this great work. And Lord, we just pray for them that you would encourage them and strengthen them during this time, Lord. I know it's difficult for everybody, Lord. And God, I pray, Lord, for all the families, Lord, that are living there and the teachers, the staff, the children, Lord. We just pray a special blessing of protection and covering over them, Lord, that they be safe and healthy. God, healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And Lord, we just pray for great things this year, Lord, for Oasis. And we just thank you so much for being so faithful and providing all of their needs and taking care of them during this time. We thank you for it, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so encouraging.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, thank you all again, Anne and Rick, for being on this call, for all that you do, for just being obedient and being an example to us all. So, and the rest of you, thanks for jumping on this call and hearing about Oasis. So until we get to be there in person, this is the next best thing.
All right.
Thanks for setting it up.
Yeah, thanks. We love you guys, and we can't wait to see you on this side.
Awesome. Okay, you guys have a great Saturday.
All right.
Okay, bye.